choosing gear, and knowing how to load it out. Let's talk about it. Good evening, I'm Toby, and this is Lapis 210. As you expand your equipment and training, choosing the right gear and understanding how to choose it becomes a critical task. I've broken this down into a couple of categories. I look at it from the 12-hour, the 24-hour, 48, and the beyond. With so many gear manufacturers, both domestically and abroad, it's hard to start to ascertain what you really need based on real-world expectations and what you perceive possible threats to be. Now, for me as a former military and contractor, it's easy for me to dissect this down and have different gear setups based on my experiences in the military and contracting. But how do I start to delineate that and expose myself to what I could realistically face and what might be overzealous or start falling into the realm of fantasy and LARPing? Well, first of all, I would always say that taking the steps to have a proper equipment, right, whether that's personal protective equipment or the nylon and other equipment you need to facilitate the items that you perceive you need for an emergency, or just to train, I can't say you're wrong. You're going to have to ascertain and decide, all right, you're going to have to figure out for yourself what it is you think you really need. And as you grow and build your equipment, well, then that's fine. You can continue to grow and build on that and expand on that based on experience and knowledge and what you pick up from other people, what you see happening around you. So here I have a few basic examples, and we're going to break this down into the 12-hour, the 24-hour, the 48, and the beyond. What I have out here right now is a lot of basically 12-hour to, in some cases you could beef it up into a 48-hour kit, but I think the 48-hour kit, I wouldn't rely strictly on just what I put onto a plate carrier necessary for 48, or especially beyond. You're going to find that as you start to build kit based on perceived threats or mission requirement, you're going to start tailoring that kit based on that mission or that perceived threat or emergency. So what you see here, like a slick carrier like this that can be added onto with the Fastex. This allows me to clip something like this in, a little micro chest rig or even a larger chest rig if you want. This gives me a good 12-hour basis. I can even push this out to 24 hours. Again, depends on what's happening. If I'm trying to get from from somewhere out in town where I'm not in my home and I need to egress home, the 12-hour kit's going to be your best bet. A slick carrier that you can easily stash in your car. You can clip this on. This can act as a go bag as well, so that you can keep on behind your feet as you drive. It clips in quickly and starts to add to what this carrier offers. With this particular carrier, I have obviously hard and soft armor in this. If you can only afford soft armor, some armor is better than no armor. But against a slightly slicker profile, you can add, as you can see here, we can add on the necessity for putting magazines on the cummerbund. There's all kinds of options for that. You can add kangaroo pouch. There's all kinds of lumbar pouches now that can add on to this. And you can also have pouches that just stick to the front with Velcro. So your ability to ramp up and wrap down a simple slick carrier like I have on this Bees Combat Systems carrier really gives you that option for that. Another one that I built for my wife here that's literally Gucci'd out. Again, it's a slick carrier underneath this. It disconnects easily and then reconnects, so I can run it slick where it just provides ballistic protection, but I can add on a small little micro rig like this and things that she might need or I think that she'll need, we can put on this carrier to include obviously ammunition. This gives her a good 12-hour basis to work from. And I say 12-hour meaning most of the stuff that we're going to face, especially if it's something like, say, some basic civil unrest, some rioting, it's only going to last a few hours. If you're there longer than that, either you're stuck in it, and that's a whole different ball of wax that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, or you're there looking for trouble. So if the idea is to have something to get you out of a situation, provide you some ballistic protection, give you a few items and supplies that you need, and essential pieces of equipment, whether it's a small radio or your cell phone, maybe it's some kind of satellite phone or whatnot, that can go in here, ammunition, first aid kit. These kind of rigs are going to give you the basis for what you need. Again, the focus of this is not to tell you what to put into the kit. It's more so if you don't understand how to start tailoring your kit and what you might need on the kit in terms of the loading material versus what we're putting into it. That can be a whole nother class or video, and there's lots of people who talk about what you should have in your kit. The focus of this is to tell you kind of what you might look at to set up a kit. Again, the slick carriers are really popular. Snapping in little micro rigs or full chest rigs are real popular, so that's a great way to go. With this rig over here, again, this also runs up what we call a placard system. And with a placard, unlike the mini chest rigs you see here, this is designed just to fit to the front of this. I got two small utility pouches, 3 magazine pouches, and again, with the cummerbund on the side, I can add pouches, I can add magazines to this or other devices that can go in here, maybe small blowout kits or whatever you want that facilitate this as well. So you can ramp this up and ramp it down as much as you like. Over here, I have more of an assaulter's rig set up, more for what we call direct action. This would not be necessarily wrong per se for home defense, but it's awfully big. It's meant for a lot of more protection. This would be something good if I was a police officer serving warrants or I'm doing what's called direct action in the military. Something like this is nice, knowing that I'm going into something hot, something contested, where I'm pretty sure that making contact with the enemy or opposition is high. This is going to maximize my protection both with the wraparound soft armor and the high impact ballistic plates that are rated level 4 and above, standalone. That's going to give me a different level of protection or a different tier level of protection. So 12 and below. Something like this will definitely be what we consider 12 and below. This is probably realistically 4 to 6 hours I'll be wearing this max, and that's pre-contact, during the mission, and post-mission. So this is something that you put on, you're going into kick doors or you're in a highly contested fight. This is something where I'm not worried about running up and down hills. I'm not trying to scale multiple structures or obstacles. This is strictly for kicking indoors, doing bad things to bad people. When you look at something like this, or like this, on a short duration, or even this system here, and I've worn this on countless missions, this works great because I can scale it up and scale it down based on what I need. Again, I'm running 4 mags here. I can run 6 mags on the sides, another 2 mags in the lumbar, another 2 mags underneath the front fupa. I can load this up when I'm running close to 12 mags or more on just this rig, but again, it kind of takes away from its purpose. But this is kind of my Jeep or Volkswagen Bug, my end-all, do-all, be-all rig. I can ramp this up and ramp it down as much as I like and do a lot with it. And while I have a tendency to set my rigs up the same across the board to facilitate the same outcome in terms of a lot of the accoutrements, meaning lumbar horizontal magazine pouches, whether it's small bleeder kits that fit in the lumbar that I can pull out and pull out directly and use quickly on myself, staying out of an IFAC, because the IFAC isn't for you to get into. I can ramp these rigs up quite a bit, and I have a lot of flexibility with them, but their intended purpose is meant for short duration, 12 hours and less. Really, it should be realistically, hopefully less than that or never at all. But all of these rigs here are meant for short duration. Again, you can tailor them how you want. Again, with the lumbar pouches in the back, with the front pouches here, with the little wing pouches you put on the inside for putting radios, again, or spare magazines. You can ramp up and ramp down these systems for whatever you like. All right, so focusing more, again, on the 12-hour rig, 12-hour and below, I put here a couple of the belt systems as well. This one here, we jokingly called these bat belts, so as a joke, I threw a little Batman symbol on here. Well, this one right here, this is a simple system. It allows me a lot of flexibility. We call these belly bands. There's different manufacturers that make these. So this one allows me to run, my pistol, whatever kind of pistol holster I want to put in here. Obviously not a pancake style holster. It's going to be more of a more linear holster that's going to fit inside this pouch. It Velcros in. I have a utility pouch back here for putting a small radio in if I want to, if I'm wearing this by itself and not with the kit. I can run 2 rifle pouches, 2 pistol pouches, and I have a small utility pouch, and I can also throw in my tourniquet and a blowout kit right here. Again, I'm not trying to tell you what to put in here. This is facilitate something simple like a belly band that's easy to conceal, that works in conjunction with this standardized urbanized kit, this 12-hour kit. Again, it's about sustainment. And those of you who are familiar with it, what we call level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 is what you wear on the body, right? That's your clothing, the pockets on the clothing, and your belt. In this case, while I'm not going to be putting stuff on my personal belt that I'm wearing through my trousers, This is a belt that goes around my waist and my belly, and this stays on the body regardless, right? So this is my level 1. Your kit, like the patrol harness, the chest rig, your plate carrier, that's your level 2, and this is also level 2. You could argue this is level 3, because if I'm not carrying a rucksack or some kind of backpack or bag, this itself is considered a bag. I can actually sling this over my shoulder and carry it if I wanted to. Obviously, it's extremely overt and would garner a lot of attention, but this is going to go behind my feet. I might already be wearing this, or this might be behind the seat, and this I would be wearing regardless. So again, you can tailor this from level 1, 2, and 3. This clips into this, much like you'd wear your backpack, level 3. But level 1 goes in the body, level 2 you wear over the body, and level 3 is whatever you throw on over your shoulders or you're carrying. So this could be a 3-level system if you really want to get into it. Level 1, level 2, and level 3. What we see here now is something that's kind of built more for the direct action. This system, again, is meant to support this or another direct, maybe a smaller direct action rig, maybe a plate carrier with the same basic focus, but more so on the speed and less armor. This is something that's going to sit on the shoulders with shoulder straps. It's going to be padded along the waist and heavy duty. You're going to run your holster. You're going to run supplemental pouches like I have here that supply ammo and other pyrotechnics and things that I might need, a dump pouch. But the idea is I'm splitting up that rig system. This is going to stay in the body regardless. Whether or not I ever donned this or lost it, I had to ditch it from a rollover, or we went into the water, it caught on fire, it got heavily contaminated. Something happened where I had to ditch this gear here for this direct action rig, or in this case even this level 2 over here for this plate carrier. The belt stays on the body. It's my level 1, my level 2, and then maybe a trauma pack or a support pack. Maybe you're carrying some kind of pack tray or something that can be in the back. That would be your level 3. Again, this is a great belt, an old SOE belt, as good as they come. It facilitates what I perceive the threats to be, whether I'm hanging my shotgun or extra breaching equipment on an R2 West, rifle retention. Again, you can set the gear up however you want. In this case, I got systems set up to where I can run smokes, I can run spare mags, I've got a dump pouch, rifle retention with an R2S, another R2S set up here for my shotgun to lock into if I'm breaching locks, or I can put a pair of bolt cutters here, maybe a small pry bar or something that can just lock in here that I need quick access to. I don't have to go to my back or rely on somebody else. That can lock into that R2S. It's a good padded belt system, so it's going to spread the load out nicely. It's not going to dig into my hips. It's not going to dig into my body. And with the shoulder straps, it takes a lot of that load off my hips. It allows a little bit more, I hate to use the word dynamic, but a little bit more athletic movement to negotiate obstacles, to negotiate stairs, structures, things that I'm going to have to climb up or run up. It's going to help facilitate that a little bit easier. So again, those are things to think about when you look at your level 1, level 2, and level 3. Again, being level 1 being the belts, level 2 being your kit, and then level 3 being maybe a clip-on chest rig that kind of ends up making this level 2 as well, or some kind of backpack system. Now we're looking at something that I would consider your 24 to 48 hour, okay? With the carriers, you could look at something like this, again, more of a lightweight slick carrier that you clip in a more proper chest rig into. All right, well, this is designed to clip into the system and work and function as part of it and not separate from it. This is all still considered level 2 then. This system is designed for prolonged patrols, but it's not going to be everything forced onto just this. When you start dealing with beyond 24 hours, you got to start spread loading your equipment. It's going to become imperative that you don't put all your eggs into one basket. So loading everything just onto the kit itself may not serve you best. And at this point, mobility is going to be a big issue because again, you're dealing with short duration. You don't want to pack the kitchen sink, but you want to make sure you're at least ready for dinner, right? So you want to make sure you have the ability to operate off of this system, that you have the equipment you need in here, the magazine storage that you need. But again, we're not looking necessarily for a big fight, but we need the ability to defend ourselves. And if we have to, what we call breaking contact, this rig can facilitate that. Well, I can carry 4 mags in the front, and it gives me flexibility with the types of magazine pouches I'm running, whether it's going to be AR-based, AK-based, even going into 308. This is going to facilitate that need, but it can push itself over and ensure that I have what I want. Now, being 5.56 or AR style magazines being the basis of what they are, on the back I'm running a simple system that allows me to run another 4 mags on a rigid system that gives me instant access to them. Well, this might look kind of goofy to you. The ability to run 4 mags back here slick and still have a hard rack system back here. I can still run hydration and it won't intrude anything that I'm doing or impede anything that I'm doing. It's my ability to run a secondary magazine load back here in an area that often we can't use. But by using the mag back system, I can carry 4 horizontal mags I have instant access to, and I'm not going to lose those mags. They're not going anywhere. They'll be easy to get to. There won't be any issues. So this gives me some options that I wouldn't have otherwise, to run 8 mags on the body. So now I'm at an infantry plus loadout, and that's not even getting into if I want to run secondary mags on the battle belt. Now battle belts can run as a standalone system, and we've seen it in the past with the Brits, and we've seen it in the past with other countries, especially that are British trained. When you look at older U.S. rigs, it was essentially a battle belt with suspenders. And I'm a big fan of suspenders. You can go without. I run suspenders on my heavy load belts because it takes a lot of that load off the hips. It's going to take a lot of stress off the hip flexors and give me some ability to be more mobile, move faster, and still run this rig comfortably as a standalone. So while I separate this, I can run this rig with this, or even run a simple chest rig like I do here, in conjunction with this system. So if I'm, depending on what I need to do, how long that's going to be, up to 48 hours, 24, 48. These rigs, I can even stretch this down to a simple plate carrier with just 3 mags in the front and kind of streamline what's up here and do the base of my loadout onto a battle belt. And we're seeing a lot of that right now in the Ukraine battle with Russia, because as they're having prolonged patrols from 24 to 48 hours, maybe even sometimes beyond that, without resupply, your ability to survive off the belt and off your kit, possibly with a small assault pack, like a 3-day assault pack or even slightly smaller. That gives you clothing and spare meals. This gives you essentials for the mission. A good butt pack or storage in the back, like we have here, more the British style. This allows me to break it up. Maybe I do meals in one, with a focus on, my spare underwear, socks, and t-shirts and stuff that I'm going to need over on this side. Again, it allows me to compartmentalize. I'm not digging through a whole bag to find one thing. I can break it up. I have quick essentials on the body that I don't have to necessarily go into my ruck for, or in that case, I'm living out of the ruck, and if I have to break contact, I can go into an E&E, or I'm trying to evade and escape, which is what E&E stands for. I can live off this for a short duration, right? I can stretch this out with my water, medical supplies, pistol. All those things that I'm going to need can be on your battle belt. So how you configure your battle belt is completely up to you. But in terms of 24 to 48, you're going to want a good battle belt. Now, different from what you see with most pistol belts, which most of us are used to seeing, right? So let's say like a core pistol belt. That's meant for very short duration, okay? Even in terms of the 12-hour and below, I might just run simply a simple pistol belt with my magazine, a couple magazines, my holster, maybe a small blowout kit, and maybe a small utility pouch or something on there that I need for a spare light or something like that. That's fine. I don't need to show you that. Everybody's seen a million different types of pistol belts from a million different types of manufacturers, even the Chinesian brands. I've found that some really good brands out there. You could go spend $110 on the one that's from, super whatever tactical source. I've found some Chinese belts, and I have an article coming out soon about the Chinesian paradox. We can talk about brands that I've found actually hold up off of Amazon of all places, and they're Chinese knockoff brands that actually do a good job and give you a quality product. But that's a topic for another day. What I'm alluding to here is that, look, set up a good battle belt, something you can fight off of. I can carry, 3 AK mags, 3 AR mags, even more so with right here. I don't recommend going much beyond that. Several pistol mags, and I can carry 2 pistol mags, a light, and a small multi-tool, all right here on my support side where I need it to get to. My pistol on this side with a small blowout kit, or IFAK, excuse me. Again, IFAK isn't supposed to be for me to go into. The blowout kit is. In this case, it could be kind of a dual purpose. I can carry some water and some supplies, and I still got a dump pouch here in the back. The dump pouch to me is becoming a critical piece of equipment. Again, your mileage might vary. I think dump pouches are critically important. I like them at the back, so if I'm in the prone, I'm not dragging stuff in the front, or if stuff's not going to fall out of the pouch in the back. But dump pouches are critical. On here, I get a secondary IFAK on here as well, maybe a primary IFAK and a secondary here. And I got my a host of different utility pouches that do different things. I can run GPSs, compass, all those things I need to with a good loadout of mags. I don't even have to even go to these mags yet. I can fight off of this rig, and in emergencies I can go to this rig. So it gives you that idea. Now, Over here looking at chest rigs. This is actually an Army issued placard chest rig, the Standard Army Marine Corps DoD fare. I went ahead and did some basic modifications. I put some proper shoulder straps on here. They gave me a better spread of the for support on my shoulders to kind of spread load this out. Something like this I'd wear over a slick carrier. I may not need armor all the time. The armor can go into a small backpack. I can pull it out when I need it, or if it's necessity requires it, I wear the slick carrier. I wear this over the carrier, and again, I can fight and sustain off this rig. I can run anywhere from 4 or 5 AR or AK mags off of this system, with 2 more right here, and this will completely facilitate AK-47 and AK-74, as will this, and as will this. The only thing that this system won't work with AK is on the mag back system in the back. In the back, I have to run like a dual lumbar system on the back, where I could carry, let's see, 2 more mags in the back on magazine pouches fitted for AKs on a horizontal lumbar. Again, I can facilitate that with this rig, or have another rig set up to do what this does, but doesn't run the mag back on it. So again, depending on what you're going to be carrying is also going to facilitate how you set your kit up. But these kits are set up to be very flexible. Obviously primary with an AR, AK is a secondary. And again, this is just a standard Army issued system. I modified it. I got rid of the top flaps. They're not really not necessary. I can tie in bungee if I want to. Unless I'm doing sheeted flips, jumping out of aircraft or diving or doing mirror operations, I really don't, I've never lost magazines out of these pouches or pouches like this, so it's really kind of a moot point. Again, and even in the heat of combat, I wasn't dropping gear and losing gear. It's not till you start doing some of these more adverse or austere insertion platforms where having heavy flaps, double secured, or the bungees start to become a bigger issue. And when you start dealing around the property, maybe I keep this in my my UTV when I'm on the property and I'm out and about in the back 40, or out maybe on a hunting trip. And I've got this to support it. Again, one of my hunting guns is AK based. It's a Ruger American that shoots 760 by 39. I had some great people from Indian Creek Customs and Fire Castle Customs. So my Ruger actually takes AK mags. So I could have this in there in case something happens, but my bolt gun will run the magazines that are in here. And so I can use this in case of emergency. I could tear this up and still run it with my bolt gun. Not saying that's going to happen. That would be pretty rare, pretty weird. But again, you tailor the kit. I could run it slick. I could run no carrier. I could run a slick carrier. All right, I can run with this. I can run with a dedicated carrier and patrol, and patrol harness system like you see here with the clip-in chest rig. And this is a no bullshit chest rig. So you can tailor your kit based on what you need and what the mission or what you perceive your necessity to be. But I would say even with these rigs, when you start dealing with beyond 24 hours, the necessity to have a battle belt is a requirement. It's really not an option. It doesn't have to be this full-blown system. It could be a more slimmed-down system. It could be another belly band, right? Whatever it is you feel you need based on your environment. But when you start dealing with beyond 24 to 48, that's when you want to start making sure that you got a good patrol rig or a good, good chest patrol harness system like this chest rig, or what you see here, clipped in or worn over a plate carrier, and a battle belt. All right, magically more kit appeared. So now we're going to talk about beyond 48. And while this may not really be a more realistic necessity for most people, having something that you can live off of in a true patrol harness, as we would call it in the military, something more geared towards RNS, reconnaissance and surveillance. This is something I used to wear, something almost exactly like this back in the day, both in my time in the Marine Corps and when I was new in SF. The old Deuce gear or 782 gear, the old Alice system was still largely in play. This was the go-to. So what I created here was a somewhat updated version of that, showing that you can use mil surplus equipment and still create a very good system that's going to more than facilitate any need for beyond 48. Maybe you live on a large swath of land and your need to patrol that land over several days, it might take several days. Maybe you don't have enough gas to run a UTV or a truck, and you've got to patrol for a long period. You're going to need something that's going to facilitate basically your home that you're wearing. Rigs like this are going to facilitate that. Well, this is the GI Special here, okay? Traditional H harness, Alice gear, obviously highly modified to facilitate a more modern approach of what I need. This is a combination of different goods to create what I call a more modern rendition, or kind of a second generation version of the Smersh, the Russian harness system. What I did here is you gotta laugh at me, I've got a Chinesium belt. It's a fantastic belt, well sewn, good materials. If these aren't real Cobra buckles, they're amazing knockoffs. So they're a really good belt system that's easy to facilitate. And reason why the Cobra buckle, it's not because I want load bearing, it's I want an easy ability to take this on and off. Well, I'm wearing gloves or even mittens. Okay, so it's simple to do. Won't take a lot of dexterity. It's almost a naturally occurring or autonomic in terms of being able to release this quickly and easily. So that's not an issue. Normally I would, yes, carry a dump pouch at the back, but given that the way this is designed and things being a premium on terms of real estate, and I don't want a lot of stuff towards the front, this kind of kit here, I'm gonna have a small little dump pouch at the front, so I can quickly just store stuff in it and make it work. But with this, what we did is we got a multi-harness system. All right, this is actually from Sword. This is an Australian design, based off the same kind of yokes the Brits and the Aussies and New Zealanders have used to wear of old. This allows me to run a small pack back here for hydration. I can store a small bump helmet or night vision in here easily, a few small goodies. I could wear this I could wear this rig essentially without a ruck, especially since I'm not gonna be doing long RNS missions like I did in the Marine Corps or the Army. This could facilitate all my water and chow needs over the course of 3-4 days easily off of this rig. I can run this rig with ARs, AR-10, AR-15, AK-47, and AK-74. So it's a functional system that gives me a lot of flexibility with the magazines. Because of the way these systems ride and the way they sit, when you start dealing with patrol harnesses, again, it becomes the whole idea of there's no free lunch. So with a lot of the other rigs, you can wear the belts low around the waist. That's not an issue, right? Up on the hips for your standard fare of most of your battle belts, especially with suspenders. With these, what I found over the last 3 decades of wearing rigs like this, you might run some kind of drop leg holster. And I say drop leg, I use that term loosely, some kind of field-friendly cloth holster like you'll see here. These aren't people's most preferred holsters, but when you start dealing with living in the bush, crawling through stuff, in and out of water, you start dealing with the really harsh environments that are found, what we call in the rural areas, right? So outside of suburbia, your pistol gets exposed to a lot of debris, a lot of environmental conditions. This kind of helps protect the pistol a little bit more, gives you a little added protection. If it's less than 24 hours or below, open top holsters, hell, even 48 and below, you can get away with that, but there's nothing wrong with having a covered pistol, particularly since I'm not trying to kick doors. My primary focus is my rifle. I'm getting engagements, possibly, if you're getting engagements, they're gonna be at slightly longer distances. It's worth the time to fix the malfunction and get my rifle back up. The whole reason why we even do a transition is as an emergency. It's an emergency response. I'm at close range, I'm engaging, something happens, I'm ditching the rifle on sling and going to my secondary. Why? Because the threat's close enough, I don't have time, and I most likely don't have the cover to facilitate fixing what's wrong with my primary weapon system, so I have to go to my secondary. With this, you're carrying a secondary as a backup, but the whole focus is to keep your primary running. So put them in these cloth pouches. Doesn't take long to get in here and pull it out. No, it's not gonna be as fast as today's modern Kydex holsters, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to protect the pistol, keep it in place. So when I'm low crawling or messing around, going through brush, going through bogs, big fields, going through all these environmental obstacles, my pistol, one, isn't getting weighed down with mud and other debris that's getting in here and clogging up the gun and causing issues. It's protected in here too, but I still have quick access to it and my ability to get in there and use it if emergency calls for it. Flexible magazine pouch design. On this GI issue rig, my go-to for a long time, and still is the old school saw pouch. Not the new ones, but the old school. I like the old school saw pouches. I can easily carry anywhere from 6 to 7 AR magazines in one pouch. If I'm only going to carry the magazines in one pouch, that leaves a whole other pouch as something I can dump stuff into. I usually run about 6 mags in here. I can easily run 5 AK mags in here without issue. And because of the way this design is, I can actually still close it and make sure that the AK mags are secure. I've ran these all over the world, whether it's in the mountains, the snow and ice in the mountains, or it's the jungles or the desert. The saw pouches serve me well. So on this rig, it's saw pouch heavy. These allow me to store a true IFAK in here. It's accessible. Again, carrying a blowout kit's probably not going to be something you're primarily going to carry on a big patrol rig. You're going to go right to the IFAK. That doesn't negate the need to have tourniquets readily available, and those can be in pockets or pouches, however you want to run that based on what your SOPs are for patrolling. Again, doing a patrol rig is going to be a completely different mentality and mindset than what you're going to face on something like a 12 or 24-hour rig. This is meant something that you live out of, you're fighting out of it. This is your home away from home. It works in conjunction with a small or a full-size ruck like an Alice, a Bergen, or other today's modern rucks like the Marine Corps ruck. While that might be more uncomfortable with this small pack back here, I can run just a bladder and still have this back here with the bladder in it. And if I need to take stuff out of my ruck at the ORP, the objective rally point, or a spot where I'm going to dump my big ruck before I go conduct business somewhere else, I can load this up with the stuff I need to take with me on mission, and it's already preset to the rig. The downside with this versus this rig is this is attached to it, and a small salt pack is not attached to this. Both have their merits. Both are running some kind of sustainment pouch at the back. Both of these are running butt packs. The butt pack, again, is one of those pieces of kit that I think has been lost to time on a 40-hour rig. This is where spare chow, spare clothes, and spare essentials can go in here, spare batteries. Always make sure you have some kind of radio pouch. Again, I'm not trying to tell you how to run your kit, but your ability to communicate with others outside of just your phone is going to be a critical piece of equipment. All right, and then water. Whether I'm running the GI canteen or I'm going to be running Nalgene's and other stuff, I always keep some kind of hard container on the kit outside of just the bladder. As well as bladders are made today, they can burst, they can have their issues, they can freeze and crack. This isn't going to have these issues. Again, I've ran the old GI canteen or the Nalgene bottle in every kind of environment across the globe. They work great. So both kits facilitate that. Both kits I'm going to try to ride them a little bit high, but because of the way the pouches are, because the way these are designed and the sustainment, the ability to run a holster on the body, unless you drop it down and attach it to your thigh, it's just not going to work well for you. So in some semblance, you could say it's a cardinal sin by running the holster on this gear, being this is a level 2 piece of equipment. Your pistol and your knife should be level 1, of course. I can keep a secondary holster in a pouch or on my body that's flat, out of the way, that won't interfere with my movement with the rig. And if I got to transfer that pistol onto my body really quick, it's not a big deal, because the chances of me ditching these rigs in an emergency are slim to none. I'm pretty much going to want to die with this rig on me, because it's carrying food, it's carrying water off of what I have in a backpack. This is my home. The backpack is like a trailer. It's extra. But this is what I need to survive and fight. So again, when you look at the 24-hour, the 48 and beyond, it starts changing. The 12-hour and below really can slim it down. You really don't need a lot. Even on that direct action rig, if you look back at it, there's not a whole lot on there. I've barely ever gone beyond one magazine in the house. Unless it's a target-rich environment, and you're putting well-placed shots into your adversaries, you're probably not even going to get to a full mag, especially if it's a team of you going through. I'm lucky to get to half a mag in a shoot house. If there's even a meager 12-man ODA, everybody's shooting, everybody's doing stuff. The chances of you blowing through multiple mags, unless you're doing tack reloads, you're not going to be blowing through 2-3 mags in the house. So, and again, that's different methodology, different conversations. Again, tailor the kit. So look at the 12-hour. What do I need at the house? What do I need at the car to get me home, right? So the 12-hour and below. Most people in most situations can be home in a few hours, even on foot. So the 12-hour and below is going to really fit you well and suit you well for most of your needs. Even a slick carrier or a carrier with just a couple mags on it and nothing else, maybe a flashlight attached to it, would be great for home defense. And then, again, if you're doing something where you're working as a professional where you need more kit, the 12-hour and kit below with some kind of shooter's belt or belly band is going to serve you more than adequately for that. And you ramp it up from the 12 to the 48 to 12 to 48. I'm sorry, 24 to 48, and that's where you start getting some different animals, and you start ramping your kit up and down. You might just need a basic battle carrier Again, and just a shooter's belt, right? Maybe you don't need a lot of extra stuff in the belt. You might have a couple extra pouches on there for a smoke or something like that. Maybe you're keeping a good bleeder kit on there. Great. That'll facilitate that well. And then you can ramp that up where you're clipping a full chest rig into your carrier, and maybe you're running a battle belt with that. And with these are standalone systems. The need to facilitate some kind of shooter's belt underneath it is kind of antiquated and not needed because it's already been combined into this. But as per tradition, if you're going to run like a knife or a secondary, holster on there, if you have to ditch everything and you're on the lam, then that's absolutely what you should go with. Well, guys, we covered a lot today. Again, I really appreciate you stopping by. This is a bit longer video than I intended. I hope you guys made it through with me. And if you have any questions, of course, hit me up below. And as I always say, from the bottom up, take in your environment, and from the top down, make sound decisions. I'm Toby, and this is Lapis 210. Good night.